Okay, everyone. Thanks again for being here. My name is Curtis Marshall. We still do have some people showing up, but we're going to get going to respect the time of everyone else. It is 5:02 Pacific time, 8:02 Eastern, and tonight on Tuesday, September 23rd, we are going to be giving some really good information out regarding scheduling and scheduling secrets. My name is Curtis Marshall with Dental Intel, the #1 tool that provides business intelligence to doctors and dentists nationwide. And tonight, not only are we talking about scheduling secrets, but we're going to be talking about the magic that you can start implementing for both the dentist and team members. So with that being said, this is a bold statement right here, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to guarantee you, whether you're office manager, dentist, staff member, hygienist, whatever it is, if you take in this formula and this strategy, this concept that we're going to be talking about today, and implement it into your practice, not only will you receive more profits, but you will have more satisfaction within the dental practice. And I can say this because we've done time and time again with our clients, and I've seen it from both friends and family, not just within the dental field, but other fields who implement these same strategies. So I'm going to put that out there, my stamp of approval, as you can see there, but I hope you enjoy what's going on. Got your pen and papers out? Because here we go. First off, we're going to be going over your schedule. We're going to look at your schedule, and we're going to discover the exact number of visits your office needs per day in order for you, the doctor, or your doctor, whichever, needs to take home and your desired income. So those are the two things. Those are the two big things. We want to find out the exact number of visits you need per day in order for you to take home your desired income. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about that magic. This magic isn't the mystical magic or the magic that really is an illusion, but it's the numbers magic. I mean, for example, why do you think Las Vegas has been so successful? I mean, these guys have been around forever, and yet they keep building bigger and bigger buildings. Last time I was down there, they had, I think what was it, the big silver one, or not silver one, the Mirage. They have built 2 extra towers more than what they had before, and each building is the Caesar's Palace has also built 2 extra towers, and then you've got the Cosmopolitan. All these things they're getting bigger and bigger, and it's not by chance. They don't go around hoping for something more in the future to get their profits. They don't think, oh, all I need, if I just had more gamblers, or in our case, new patients, then I could be more successful. They know exactly what's going on, and they have found a way to predict their future within their field. It's called business intelligence. Business intelligence is used all over. It's used in hospitals. It's used in small and large businesses. It's even used in corporate dentistry. And this business intelligence is the future. And luckily, we have this for dental offices. In the past, what we've done is we've got reports. Typically, we found all our information from these reports, whether it's a new patient report, production report, scheduling report, whatever it might be, but they're great to have, but they're all lagging indicators. For example, when you look at yesterday's schedule and you see that you had only 14 patients in your office, or you saw that you had 14 patients in your office, what can you do to change that? Think about it. What can you do to change that? You can't do anything. You can't do anything. It's like you're looking in the rearview mirror. True, you know what happened, but it is difficult to see obstacles or even opportunities that lie ahead. And this is just a small plug. As you know, I am with Dental Intel, but that's what Dental Intel is. We are the only business intelligence company that understands and works exclusively with dentists by automatically pulling data from not only practice management software like Dentrix and EagleSoft and Open Dental, but also your QuickBooks, which both information is very important. And by pulling both of those, we identify what's truly going on in your practice and display it on a daily dashboard, as you see there. Okay, so enough about that. Let's talk about types of magic that other companies use. Or, excuse me, now that we know what magic other companies use, which is business intelligence, let us find out exactly what's going on with scheduling. As we know, the schedule controls our productivity. Or in other words, if you don't have anything on your schedule, you're not going to produce anything. If you have two large cosmetic cases on your schedule, you're going to have a lot of production. And for those that are ortho out there, I know we have a couple orthodontic offices out there. If you have 10 starts, you're going to have that amount of production. If you don't only have one start, you see how that goes. With that being said, our schedule is rarely given the emphasis it deserves. It's like it's a huge wave coming at us. It's going to knock us over, or there's not going to be any wave there, whichever it is, whether it's good or bad, but it's not getting the attention it deserves there. So sometimes I'm going to relate this to a puzzle. Sometimes we go into our office and we want to take out all the information within our practice, and we wish that somehow our practice was making as much money or was full in appointments as we would like it to be. Unfortunately, we sometimes cannot figure out how to solve this puzzle. But what's the most important piece? For those that have heard me before or seen my YouTube videos, I hope you remember what the most important piece is. The most important piece of the puzzle isn't the corners, it isn't the middle, it's not the edges, it's the picture. And just yesterday I had two of my coworkers, Adam Smith and Chris. Both of them, I gave them two puzzles, the exact same puzzle. One I gave the picture, the other one I didn't give the picture to, and said, all right guys, go, see how fast you can get this done. And you can guess who won. It was Adam Smith, the guy who had the picture in front of him, and he is the guy that we have on here today. Adam, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Curtis?
Fantastic. So the reason why I wanted you to be on this webinar today, or this training, is that I wanted somebody who knew numbers, knew offices, knew who they were doing in their practices today, and help them find out more about their schedule, give them the magic on what they need to do within their schedule to hit the income that they want to take home. Is that something you know a little bit about?
Definitely, definitely.
Great. So I'm just going to go ahead and hand this over to you. Why don't you go ahead and get us started here?
Great. So my goal today is to help everyone understand how to build their schedule to get to where they want to be. In doing this, we're actually going to back into a few numbers starting from where we want to be. And we'll get into some daily actionable goals based on what we want our take-home income to be. So I'll give you some theoretical situations, and then if you know your numbers, great, plug your numbers in, and let's get to the bottom of this so that we know things that we can do on a daily basis. As we calculate these things, some of you may be overwhelmed. You may get a number out of these equations that's unreasonable. And you may be thinking, I'm never going to be able to see this many patients in a day. I'm never going to be able to fit this on my schedule. And if that's the case, there are some other things that we should be looking at that will help this be achievable. And that's where business intelligence comes in, like Curtis said. If we can't see enough patients, if we can't see as many patients as we need to get the net income that we want, we've got to change something, and business intelligence will tell us what that is. So to start out, let's just choose an income level. Everyone can have their own income level, and go ahead and write this down, but let's choose an income level that we would like to take home. And this is after-tax income. So basically what you'd like to be able to spend, or not necessarily spend or save in a year. So I'll start with $350,000, and that's, like I said, after tax. So where does net income need to be before tax for this to be what we take home after tax? So if you're working with a CPA or whoever's preparing your taxes, they should be able to give you a projected tax rate. And you'll have two different taxes. You'll have your federal tax that you're going to owe on your net income, and you'll have your state tax. We're going to add those two things together to get what our total tax rate is. So on my I'm going to assume a tax rate of 35%, 30 for federal tax and 5 for state tax, because that's what state tax is in Utah. So if I want to take home $350,000, my equation would be $350,000 divided by 1 minus my tax rate. And that lets me know that before tax, my net income needs to be $538,461. And net income is the bottom line after all the expenses, if people aren't familiar with the profit and loss or income statement. So I would need to be having $538,461 in net income if I want to be able to spend $350,000. So the next thing that we need to do is figure out our profit margin. We need to know, of all the money I earn, what am I taking home in profit? And we'll get this as a percentage. So I'm going to use a 35% profit margin. We have several clients that are above this and many that come in below this. So I just took a good average of 35%. So another formula to use, once we know how much we have to make net income, is to figure out how much we have to make in gross income. So we're going to take our net income amount, which was the $538,461, and divide it by our profit margin, which gives me 1.5, a little over 1.5 million. You can see the number there that I need to collect in order to be able to spend $350,000 in a year.
So Adam, well, first off, there's a lot of numbers here, and I hope you guys are picking this up. If not, I will send you an Excel sheet at the end. Just stay on, and I'll show you how to get that Excel sheet so that you can just type in these numbers and not have to worry about the formulas. But this is unique. Like I said, I've worked in an office before. I've been in office for 6 years, saw it grow tremendous. We never focused on accomplishing the goal of the take-home, what the doctor took home. It was always, oh, how much can we produce, or how much can we collect? It was never based on the take-home. I found this really interesting. Why is it that you base it off that first rather than the traditional production or collections?
Great question, Curtis. And the reason is, if I just choose a production or a collections level, whether I'm happy or not at the end of the year, whether I've had the amount of money that I want to spend, is kind of a guess at that point. If I back into it and then set production and collections goals off of that, then I know if I'm hitting that, assuming everything else is staying the same and not changing, I'll have the $350,000 that I want to spend at the end of the year. So now we know what our collections level needs to be. The next thing that we need to do is figure out what production needs to be. We're going to divide our necessary collections by our collections percentage to figure out what our production would need to be. So let's say I collect 98% of all my production. I'm going to take that necessary collections that I just calculated, the 1,538,461, and I'm going to divide it by my collection percentage. So as you can see, if I want to spend $350,000, I need to produce $1,569,858.
But wait a second here. That's like, that number keeps growing. You guys, I'm sure you guys recognize this out there. This number keeps growing. I can see this being discouraging because some offices may see this as unobtainable to do if they want to hit that number. Why is it that what is it that we need to make sure to look at or to remember as we are going over these formulas tonight?
Right. So as I said, some of the things that this equation kicks out may be discouraging, and I don't intend for it to be discouraging. What we want to know is, can I get to where I want to be by scheduling more patients, or do I need to be focusing on something else? If you see these numbers starting to get discouraging, that this number is 4 million by now, maybe our profit margin is not as good as it should be. Maybe our tax rate's too high and we need to find a more proactive accountant. Maybe our collections are bad. Those are all things that are feeding into this number, but at the end of the day, this is the number we need to get to if we want to ensure that we are taking home what we want to take home and that I'm able to spend what I want to spend.
That makes sense. Yeah, so it's basically, it's not a cookie cutter approach. This is depending on the office, depending on the practice, depending on the goals, you're able to adjust that and find out what's wrong or what needs to be fixed or even what needs to be adjusted in order to hit the level, the income you want to take home, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So we got all these numbers. We're up to production. We still haven't quite hit scheduling, which is why we all came here. Let's keep moving on with that.
Great, and that's what the plan is. Let's get granular. Let's figure out daily actionable goals to make this happen. So now that we know what we need to produce for the year, we need to figure out how many production days we're going to have during the year. So this is pretty simple. There are 52 weeks in the year. Figure out how many vacation days you're going to have, multiply it by the number of days that you're going to work per week, and that's how many production days you're going to have during the year. So for my example, I'll say I'm taking 4 weeks of vacation and I'm working 4 days a week. So I will be working for roughly 192 days out of the year. Now that I know how many days I'm going to be producing and what my production needs to be, I can figure out what my production per day needs to be.
This is another crazy number that I don't think many people think about, and that is how many days a week am I going to be working in order to hit my goal? Exactly. So I'm glad you pointed this one out. So this is vacation. Plan out for your vacation. I like that.
Great. So now let's figure out what we need to produce per day. So we'll take that total production number, the 1,569,858, and divide it by the number of days I'm going to be working during the year. When I do that, I see that I need to produce $8,177 per day. So is that attainable? Like I said, this equation could start kicking some numbers out that get discouraging, and there are other things that we need to look at and to address if these numbers seem unattainable. But so now we're to what we need to produce each day. So now let's figure out how many patients we need to schedule to accomplish that. The next piece of the puzzle is, on average, over a good long time frame, what is my average production per patient visit in my office? So I usually take at least a 6-month time frame, or sometimes even a year, to figure this out. And what I'm going to do is take the production for that time frame and divide it by the number of visits in that same time frame. So if I produce 600,000 over the last 6 months and I'd seen 1,800 patients, or I'd had 1,800 visits in that same time frame, I would be producing on average $334 per patient visit.
So even if I had a patient come in 3 times during that 6 months and I produced 600,000 in that same 6 months, I still count that one patient as being there 3 times in the 1,800 example we have here. Is that correct?
Yes, because each time that patient is in, they're taking a piece of your schedule.
Okay. So this is a crazy number. This is not one that Dentrix you can just pull up production per patient visit, is it?
No, well, yes, if you know how to do it. It's going to be easiest to figure out your production over a period and then figure out how many visits you've had over that same time frame and then calculate this manually.
So why is that number, the 334 that everyone's seeing on their screen, why is that important?
So the importance of this number is this is an average over a long time frame. Unless you're on a really steep incline or a really steep decline, on average we can assume that every single patient visit will bring us in $334 of production. Not necessarily that every visit will produce 334, but that if we average them out over a time frame, they'll average out to 334 each.
Awesome. So once again, there's all these formulas that we're putting out there tonight. If you're not writing them down, if you're writing them down, great. If you're not writing them down, I will send you that Excel sheet, and I'll give you the information on how to get that at the end of this training, which is just a few minutes. But this is really good stuff, Adam. This is stuff that people go to years of school to get, and we're getting it within here just 20-25 minutes. So thanks again.
Right. So we're not finished yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
We've got, now we know what we produce on average per patient visit. Now we want to figure out how many patients we need to see to make our production and collections goals possible, and make sure that we can take home, or that I can take home, that $350,000 that I set as a goal beforehand.
Okay, so this is our now we can get our magic number, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So we know what our total production is. We know what we need to produce each day. We calculated that above. If you'll remember, that was the $8,177. I need to be producing that each day. Now I need to figure out how many patients I need to be seeing on average each day to be able to get that production. So I'm going to divide that 8,177 by my average production per patient visit, which was the 334. And that's going to give me how many patients I need to see on average per day.
All right. So in this example that we have, where the doctor's taking home, was it $350,000, right?
Yes.
Where he's taking home $350,000, and we got all those other calculations in there. We now know exactly how many numbers of patients he needs to see, not necessarily schedule yet, but how many he needs to see to hit that number. Is that right?
Right. Very good distinction there. So this is the number of patients that I need to see, that actually need to have visits in a day. So the clarification there is we've got a certain broken appointment percentage. So as we're getting to how many people we need to have scheduled per day, we need to figure in that broken appointment percentage. So let's assume a broken appointment percentage of 15%. We see that range anywhere from 5 to, I've seen it up as high as about 40%. But we'll take 15% as the broken appointment percentage. So we're actually having 85% of our scheduled appointments keep their appointments. We need to figure this in to see how many patients we need to have on the schedule so that we can actually see 25 patients.
Okay, and real quick, let me interrupt this right fast. We just had a question come in, and that was, is the number 25 just for the doctor, or is that including hygienists as well? Thank you for that question, by the way, out there. But Adam, I think I know it, but I'm going to let you do this.
Great.
What's the answer there? Is that 25 total or just doctor? Great
question. So we took the average per patient, so any type of patient. Assuming that we're not changing the treatment mix and scheduling tons of hygiene without scheduling any restorative, assuming that we're keeping the same type of treatment mix, that's any patient. That can be a combination of restorative and hygiene patients.
Okay, and even checks, right? As far as people coming in for denture checks or crown seats and all that.
Right. Every single appointment that you've had in a time frame is figured into that number.
Cool. All right, so I hope that answered your question out there. If you guys have any more, feel free to shoot them up. We'll either answer them as we're going or at the end. But we're on this broken appointment. So I hope you understand 15%. If you have 15% broken, the formula number that you need to use is 0.85 or 15 less than 100.
So the equation for that is we're going to take the number of patients that we need to see, so mine's 25, and we're going to divide it by 1 minus our broken appointment percentage. So like Curtis said, for 15% it would be 0.85. that lets me know I need to see 29.4 patients on average per day. Obviously, I can't see 0.4 patients, so if I want to make sure I'm above my goal, I'm going to round that up to 30. So I need to be averaging 30 patients per day.
Wow. That is something I think a lot of people forget to implement. There's the broken appointment percentage. I'm glad that you thought of that one, and I'm sure you've had other people miss that as well. But that is some really good information here. I hope everyone's either wrote that down or is understanding the concept of where this is coming at. Adam, we really appreciate what you're doing. So here's one of your clients that you worked with in the past. He was in Washington. He was having the problem with, he wanted to get somewhere, and he thought his problem was in the schedule. He thought he needed to get more new patients to get on the schedule in order to reach his goal. Now, do you remember what his goal was? I think we got it here.
Yeah, so he was taking home $280,000 at a thriving practice, but he was working 5 days a week. His goal was to scale his days back to 3, bring on an associate for 2 days, and to take home the same amount of money. So obviously his profit margin was slightly different than what we calculated in because he had associates pay in there. But we backed in the same way to figure out how many patients he needed to be seeing on average per day, and then to figure out if he had a big enough active patient base, if he had enough patients planning to come into his office in the future. And we were able to help him transition from 5 days to 3 days, making sure that we were focusing on scheduling the right amount of patients, and in bringing on the associate was actually able to increase his income. So when he moved to 3 days, he was actually taking home $355,000 per year.
And all this comes from business intelligence, is that right?
That's right.
So it's little business intelligence that's helping all these big Fortune 500 companies, corporate dentistry, hospitals, and all of that is being used today in dentistry. And that is basically, it's gathering all the data and displaying it and letting you get actionable items. So in the past, doctors nationwide have been getting reports, ideas and whatnot on how to get their practice more profitable, to get more people on their schedule. Just go ahead and throw those away. Get rid of those. Start using business intelligence by gathering all the information within your practice that displays it on a daily dashboard that you can look at and make make decisions based on numbers and not emotions. For example, here's a good quote I like to always mention out is the track coach up at Oregon, University of Oregon, the Ducks. He said that when performance is measured, performance improves, and when performance is measured and reported back, the rate of improvement accelerates. Oh man, wouldn't we all love that if our performance started accelerating and got better and better?
I think everyone would love that.
Yeah. So that's all done off of numbers, performance, measuring that performance. And so, great quote to practice in your day-to-day life. We want you guys to stop guessing. Stop guessing on what you need to have happen. Stop guessing on what's going on in your practice and find out the true answer. I'm going to send anybody who texts me their name and email, just text it to my cell phone number there, and I'll send you that Excel sheet that we talked about. And that Excel sheet, all you're going to do is you're going to enter in your information, your numbers that Adam talked about earlier. You're not going to have to do any equations. You're just going to fill in the yellow boxes. Fill in the yellow boxes. If it doesn't give you the answer you like, go back in, change those answers in the yellow boxes to where you think you can get them at or where it's more obtainable. And whatever answer that comes out to at the end is how many patients you need to see per day. As soon as you get that number in, that's going to help you. Is there any other disclaimers we need to say regarding the Excel sheet that we're going to be sending them?
Just to chime in really quickly, like I mentioned, this number may come out and surprise you. And if you don't know where to get these numbers from, depending on what practice management system you're using, Curtis, you can give them my contact information, and we can set up an appointment, and I can help them pull those numbers, and then also start identifying if that's not reasonable. If maybe they need to see 60 patients a day to get to where they wanted to be, then we can start diving into maybe some of the things that are out of whack, where they should be focusing, and then give them a little idea of what business intelligence can provide.
Awesome. So that's going to be our second thing here. So first off, name and email, text me that, and I'll send you the Excel sheet. If you also text me the word free, just F-R-E-E, doesn't have to be capitalized. It can be lowercase. I don't care. What we'll do is we'll get you on with somebody like Adam, who understands numbers within a practice, and we'll give you a free 15-minute analysis to find out exactly what's going on right now within your practice so that you can make changes going forward, and not just changes that are emotional, like, oh, I think I need to put up a new air freshener in the office. I think that'll bring in more new patients or more production. But true stats that will help you not only get more production, but take home more cash. And lastly, for all those that come on, this is something I've never done before, but we love numbers and we want everybody to start using numbers. And that is, we're going to waive our install at 100%. We're going to waive our $2,000 install, which takes one of our analysts like Adam hours to go through and comb through all your data and get you all set up so that you can understand what's going on within your practice, and that we can work with you with business intelligence. But we're going to waive that completely. That's for anybody that engages with us, and that's what we want. We want to engage with you. We want to be able to help your practice grow. Have you go home without worrying about what's going on in the practice. You go home to have fun with your family, your friends, whatever it is, your iguana, whatever it is you go home to. We want you to be happy and not worry about the practice anymore, but to feel confident that things are going in the direction you want to go in. So stop guessing. Anything else you want to say, Adam, before we end?
Yeah, we just had a question come up. I wanted to address really quick. There's not a clear-cut answer to it, but it is one of the things that we'll take a look at in an analysis session. Is when I find how many patients I need to see per day, where do I find these patients to schedule them? And that the answer to that question could be one of several answers. It could be new patients. It could be scheduling existing patients better. It could be being more proactive about recall. It could be having better recall conversion. So just there's not really a definitive answer that I can give you until we actually have the numbers in front of us. But that's something we'd be happy to go over in an analysis session.
Yeah, that is a great question, because it's not the same for everyone. Have you ever gone to a class where it's like, oh, this is the number one thing to get new patients, or this is the number one thing to get more production. Every office must do this. Well, in all reality, that may work for some offices, but it doesn't work for every office. And that is where business intelligence differs, is what it does. It goes into your practice and gets you a specific game plan that says, all right, if you want to take home more money and work the same amount of days, here's what you do. If you want to work less days a week, like our example that we showed earlier, if you want to work less days and make the same amount or more money, here's what you do. You want to get an associate, here's what you do. And so in that case, where the question is, where do I find these patients to schedule, it'll tell you exactly. But you do need to get all that information from all your different areas. So once again, stop guessing, take control, be the envy of all the other dentists around your area. Text me your name, email, and I'll send you over that Excel sheet. And if you also type in free, we'll get you a 15-minute analysis with somebody just like Adam here, who knows and understands dental and what's going on in the dental field, and also what's going on in your practice. My name's Curtis.
And I'm Adam.
We're glad you guys came on today. I hope you have a great evening and that you are prosperous in the near future and that things are going well. Thanks again.